I love growing. I always have loved growing. Always had allotments, gardens that were once pretty lawns that were then cultivated into growing veg. I love the whole plot to plate, growing and better still growing together and harvesting and then creating that into a meal and bringing people together over food. So sharing food together is a lovely thing for us all to do in community. Root Connections is a community interest company. Essentially it's a community market garden where we're growing things. We all come together as community. It was set up August of last year, 2018. Started off much smaller and it was pretty much a patch of land sitting alongside the dairy house, which is a hostel for homeless people, vulnerable adults in and around the Mendips. And a place for them to come and have recreational space whilst they're staying in the dairy house. We have a cut flower garden, we have a 90-foot polytunnel, we have a square acre which is for commercial growing, and we sell the veg to a local whole food store and we sell to a chain of local restaurants.
Many years ago, I worked in Hong Kong in an organisation that helped people who were dealing with drug addiction, and I lived in community with them over 6 years, and it was a faith-based group, and I really enjoyed that whole process of living in community and myself learning lots and realising that I had lots to learn, but also walking alongside people and seeing people gain confidence and learn new skills and have new life, really. So that was my background. And then when I came back to England, I started working with Elim Connect Centre. So I started doing pottery workshops for people that were homeless. And then eventually I became an outreach worker and started searching for people in this rural area, looking at ways of helping them get out of homelessness. Cut through to a few years later, I'm married to Rob, who's a farmer. We have a duchy farm here. And with Elim Connect Centre, ourselves and Mendip District Council, we did a 3-way partnership and we started a direct access hostel here for people who are experiencing homelessness. I think something that's really key to the way that we've developed the work out here is that we are our big organisation is trying to do work with people that are experiencing homelessness in a rural way, which is very different to an urban situation. So when we go out and look for people there in the woods, they might be in cars on their own, in benders, in tents, in caravans that aren't fit for purpose. So we're trying to develop something that are suitable for people like that. So in an urban situation, it might be completely different.
We meet twice a week on a Tuesday and a Friday. We start at 10, we finish at 1. On a Friday we all come together for lunch, a shared lunch where the guys in the dairy house harvest vegetables, cook soup, and then that's their way of saying thank you.
So what's great about here is that when people experience homelessness, they come away from their situation into a lovely farm. They get time out to think about what they want to do next. But having something meaningful to do with other people, to get to know people, to make friends, can actually increase their chances of making a new start.
Yeah, we have a real mix. We obviously have the residents from the dairy house, so they come with possibly addiction issues, mental health issues, are often at the centre of the addictions. The addiction is often a coping mechanism for something else that's happened or mental health issues. So that's naturally, the garden is a space for them to come and work alongside volunteers. Because we're in a rural area, there might be struggles around social isolation, so social reintegration is really important. That takes weeks to build up that trust and to get conversation flowing. If anybody's going along with mental health problems, they've had a breakdown recently, whatever journey they're on, a GP can refer them to our project as a host wellbeing garden to hopefully work on the land, just belong to a group of people.
The garden now produces food to sell, vegetables, vegetable boxes, and every time we sell food, all that money goes back into ending homelessness. So CIC basically means it's a non-profit company, so anything that we make goes back into the charity.
If we can show people how to grow their own food and empower them and bring back some of those traditional rural skills, life skills that we all grew up with and kind of take them for granted, but there's a whole generation coming through that, carrots come in a plastic wrapper from a supermarket shelf. It would be lovely for them to see how they could save their own seed and grow and look after and nurture and harvest and share that food and eat well together and demonstrate a more sustainable way of going forward.
In terms of numbers of people that have gone through the dairy house, in a year approximately have about 35 people that have come out of homelessness, live with us for 3 months and then move on. As part of that, they've volunteered at Root Connections. So that's in 3 years, we're looking at over 100 people who've been housed through the project and through being involved in Root Connections.